Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pokemon Legends Arceus. We're going to be doing some side quests today. Not all, we're not going to be doing all of them because there's no point in showing every single one on screen. But I figured I'd show the first couple of ones that the game throws at you, especially the
Yeah.
little Bidoof one, and also our starters will evolve this part. Yay!
You said on stream.
Oh, I said on stream.
I just realized that during that entire cutscene, Abra was kind of just hovering behind not protagonist over there. Frickin'
What does he do again? I know he does something.
What Abra?
Yeah.
He's important later.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah, he does the thing later on. You know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the Abra they have in some of the games where you're in Elite Four, and it's like, do you want to go home? And they let you teleport back. I guess
Every day.
I guess in case you didn't have fly somehow, but then you have to freaking walk all the way through Victory Road again if you don't have fly. So sucks to be you, I guess. Oh well.
The thing about Victory Road that I always found interesting was that it felt like they kind of wanted to make it an old school style labyrinth dungeon, but quit halfway. Like, in the sense that, like, they maybe intended you to delve into it bit by bit as you collected badges, even though the game is not arranged in any sort of convenient way for that.
You know what? That's a good point, because the first game has that, you have badge 1, you can pass, and then, you keep on going, and it's, very dramatic, but then you just go into the thing. I think that could have been a thing that they were trying to do, and you do see that kind of thing in not later Pokemon games, but, other RPGs, you see that kind of thing from time to time.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a dungeon in a wizardry game or Shining in the Darkness or something. Like it was conceptualized as a central labyrinth. But okay, the only thing that there was to find in there was Moltres, and I'm pretty sure it appeared toward the end anyway. So
Yeah, pretty much. And the only reason Moltres is in there is because they ran out of time to give Moltres its own dungeon anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Actually, what did they put in Moltres' spot in Fire Red Leaf Green? I don't remember.
Wasn't Moltres still in Victory Road?
No, because they
Fire
moved
Red
it
Leaf
to the.
It might have been the
spin-off
Sevi.
Isles.
It might have been the Sevi Islands.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, they move it to the Sevi Islands in Fire Red Leaf Green. So I don't remember what they put there in Fire Red Leaf Green where Moltres would have been.
The thing is, having a central labyrinth dungeon in Pokemon would have been actually kind of interesting. And I kind
you
of
see them attempt to do sort of things like that in Gen 2 a little bit. Oh god, I forget the name of the mountain, but the one that connects Eckertique and what's the one? The one near Lake of Rage.
Mahogany Town.
Yeah, that one. The mountain that connects those two. It's got multiple tiers, and every time you go to a new tier, the Pokemon jump up 10 levels, and you need a new HM to get to them. I think you can go into the first one.
It's not Union Cave, right? Was it? Or
No, Union Cave
Dark
is the
Cave or
one
some
that
other
gets
thing,
you
or-
to God, Bugsy's town. I can't remember any of the towns in Gen 2 right now for some
Azalea
reason.
Town.
Azalea Town, thank you. Yeah, I think Union Cave.
Well, I'll read down the list. There's Cliff Cave, Cliff Edge Gate, Dark Cave, Dragon's Den, Ice Path, Mount Motar, Mount Silver, Slowpoke Well, Union Cave, and Whirl Islands.
Wow, it's like they started out really tired and didn't know how to name things, and then they had their cup of coffee, and
Yeah, then we got one sip. All right, Mount Motar. Ooh,
I
that's
think
much
it's
better.
Mount Mortar.
I was getting really tired of Cliff.
it's probably Mount Mortar. That sounds very English.
Yeah, because that's where Karate Guy is hanging out in Gen 2. But yeah, they kind of try that. In Gen 2 also has in Union Cave, once you get Surf, you can go back in, and then you get to the area where Lapras is on Friday. That was a thing I loved about Gen 2 is that there was a bunch of reasons to go back to old areas and explore.
Yeah, Gen 2 kind of was trying to explore the expansiveness of the world, but it also ironically made its area to area progression under normal play more linear than Pokemon Gen 1.
Yeah, you can like kind of skip certain things, but there's not really much. You're not gonna do it organically, like you might in Gen 1. It's just gonna be like you forget to do a gym or something like that.
Yeah.
Is what's more likely in Gen 2. I love Gen 2, obviously. The thing about it is that they do try again to have some more expansiveness and like, oh, go back to old areas. It just doesn't get fully realized because since they're trying to stuff two regions into one cartridge, a lot of the areas are smaller in terms of like actual like landmass.
Yeah.
You know, like how Viridian Forest got chopped down and is now just like a couple of bushes and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, Gen 1 also tried to pass this piddly little square of land as a volcanic island with a mansion on it, so...
you just had to use your imagination. It was 1996. Oh, man.
The mansion itself was a fucking TARDIS. It was way bigger on the inside. Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, yeah, that is one thing that I think like is awesome about Heart Gold and Soul Silvers is that all the Kanto areas that had to be like just taken out for space get put back in, which is really cool.
And all it cost us was losing the cool female protagonists and getting gender-swapped Mario for some reason.
Yeah. Rip Gold. Ethan's a nerd.
Jesus Christ.
I'm also not a fan of the art style shift in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where everything is a lot rounder and more cheerful looking than it was in the original game.
Yeah, Gold Silver Crystal is very somber.
Yeah, it kind of clashes with the tone.
Yeah. I mean, it also runs on the Gen 4 engine, which is also just, a crying shame. Because if it ran on the Gen 5 engine, it wouldn't take a half an hour to save or watch battle animations or whatever. Or walk. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, I mean, it's a little easier to swallow because it's Gen 2, and Gen 2 was before all of the you can just pull your bike out at all times upgrades. So things were kind of slow in that generation anyway. It doesn't hit as hard.
You have a functioning inventory system, but you still do need to shut stuff into the PC from time to time.
The only thing they added to the inventory system in Gen 2 was separate bags for categories. Can you guys out there in Reality Land believe that at one point Pokemon thought it was a good idea to just stuff all the items into one bag?
Yeah. Oh God,
To be fair, it's a nice bag.
When Gen 1 came back on the 3DS Virtual Console, I replayed the games, in their 8-bit form. And I forgot how spoiled I was with, things that I've had since 2003, like running shoes or, a bag with more than 15 spots.
I was fucking miserable, during the Living Dex playthrough I did on my Twitch channel. And there were so many one-off items I ended up not needing that I ended up also overfilling my PC.
You filled up the PC? Oh my.
I filled up the PC.
I didn't even know that was possible, but now that I think about it...
I didn't know either.
Well, I mean, if you're finding all the TMs, there's 50? That's already got to take up so much space.
Oh, now that I think about it, I've heard this before. I think in Gen 1, you have just enough PC space for almost all of the TMs. So if you want all of the TMs, you have to carry a bunch of them with you.
You can't even fit all the teams in the PC?
I think so. I might be misremembering that a little.
That's so dumb. I sell everything in Gen. If I'm playing the original, I sell everything like proteins, X items. If it's not a full restore or a hyper potion, it gets sold. I don't care. Go away.
Yeah, that makes sense in Gen 1. Thank Christ that Scarlet and Violet had the bright idea to just let you auto heal your Pokemon with a single button and use your piddly little mini potions as the like the fuel for your gas tank.
You know, back in my day, you had to go to the inventory bag and choose a potion individually each time, and then choose the Pokemon you wanted to heal each time you wanted to heal a Pokemon.
We didn't get until Black and White 2 before they asked use another.
But you know, the real painful thing is stuff like the bike that you have to go into the inventory to use every time and then unuse it to get off the bike. And
Did anybody ever register an item other than the bike in the old games?
I don't
Like where you
think
can
so.
press select.
Fishing rod.
Oh yeah, you would
Occasionally you would, if you were like hunting a specific Pokemon that you had to fish for. Okay, I can see, because you have to pull out the fishing rod every time you want to go fishing.
Well, I mean, if you're
Yes.
fishing at all, you want that fishing rod registered, yeah. But that's something you'll switch back and forth between. But like, okay,
What was the first game to just give the bike a button? Was that Gen 5?
No, it wasn't Gen 5.
Because I know for sure you have to register the bike as your special item at least up through Gen 4. Was it Gen
In
6?
Gen 5,
maybe?
you have to.
Was
I think
it Gen 6? I want to say X and Y did that.
Well, Gen 6 also had like rollerblades and shit that you could wear for
Right.
some reason.
Rollerblades are lame.
Well, no, rollerblades are neat, and I would have liked, options for different faster travel things just for like the visual variety. The problem with the rollerblades in Gen 6 is that they're not even faster than running and they control worse, so what's the point?
look, I gotta give X and Y some credit, okay? Everyone hates on it too much. It was a fantastic engine test for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Or was it Alpha Ruby and Omega Sapphire? I'm not sure.
I think you had it right the first time.
Right, okay. It was an excellent engine test for the remake of the old games. You know?
He do have a point.
And you have to admire Pokemon Company's commitment. They make a lot of new Pokemon for their engine test beta tests. It's more than most other companies would give us for our open beta tests periods, you know?
I do also find it amusing that Gen 6 has 3D capabilities on the 3DS, but it made the game run like such garbage that they just didn't bother for Gen 7, and I believe even Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire didn't let you do 3D. I mean, granted, by that point, it was like 2017, 2018, and you didn't
It was
need to
clear
make
no one
something
was
3D
using it,
if you
yeah.
didn't want to. I think the 2DS was even out by that point, so it's like, okay.
This
Sure.
right here, what we were just doing is something that Scarlet and Violet really could have used. Side quests with NPCs and stuff, and their little stories, like the
Oh
woman
yeah,
who's
because that
afraid
guy
of
has like the
Starlight.
Wurmple that ends up evolving over time.
Yeah,
and
it's actually a
copies
quest
the-
line.
And it copies the storyline from the anime where Jessie gets a Wurmple and she wants it to evolve into a Beautifly, and it evolves into Dustox instead, because how to get the one you want is shrouded in arcane mystery that you will never be able to figure out. I think that there is no way to determine it or to manipulate it. When you catch a Wurmple, if I remember correctly, it's coded to evolve into whichever one it's going to evolve into, and you can't change it. Tough shit.
There was one of the Pokemon that I used in my Scarlet and Violet End team was this like Ghost Maiden thing that was an added evolution for a Pokemon that didn't have an evolution before. And it involved like
Frostlass?
Frostlass, that's the one. And I think it involved like, well, first of all, the Pokemon had to be female to begin with. And I don't remember what the other requirement
I think you
was.
needed Duskstone.
Something like that.
I think it was a Dawnstone.
There were
Snorunt, but yeah.
there were too many damn evolution stones until the more open worldy type games started handing them out like fucking candy.
I mean, trying to get evolution stones in Gen 2 sucks.
It does.
You have to, I think there's like maybe one that you find on the road for like each one throughout the entire game, except for moonstones. They'll hand out moonstones like candy, but everything else you have to walk through the.
You got to register phone numbers and call certain
The
trainers.
Moonstones at least had like a set location, right?
So
Like,
there's
you know-
like you get a freebie for like each one of like fire, thunder, etc. And then they're like hidden somewhere on the overworld, and you'll find them if you just explore. And then for extras, you have to get calls from specific trainers, and you have to hope you have the right trainers in your phone.
Didn't the department store sell evolution stones, or was that just Gen
Not
1?
in Gen 2.
That
In
was
Gen
only
1 they
Gen
do.
1.
Celadon is like the only like town in a generation that actively sold stones, if I recall
And
correctly.
It's just Gen 1 and Fire Red
Yeah.
Green. Because I know sometimes people will be like, you say Gen 1, but what about... And when I say Gen 1, I generally mean and its remakes. That's
Gen
just
1.
how I say it.
It
I
is
know
a bit of a
that-
mouthful to clarify every time, but I understand the concept of evolution stones, and on paper I kind of like them, because they were a concept that was tailored to the social aspect of Pokemon way back in the early days, when the social aspect was a social aspect and not random trades with randos online. You got like one free stone of every type per playthrough, basically. And you had to think about what Pokemon you wanted to use it on. And there were only a small handful of Pokemon that actually needed them, so it wasn't even that big of a choice. So it encouraged you to think about what Pokemon you would use your evolution stone on, and what evolutions you would trade for instead. And that made sense. You'd chat about it with your friends at school and come up with like a group plan sometimes, and that shit's kind of cool. But
So, tangential question. How many of you guys actually did trades in Pokemon where, like, you kept the things you're trading versus what I always did was the trade back to fill slots
to fill
in
the
your
decks.
Pokedex?
Well, some groups of friends would do those on purpose. Some people like me were asocial little jerks and just bought 2 Game Boys.
You see, I was lucky. My
We call those winners.
sister was briefly into Pokemon, so I didn't have to buy 2 Game Boys. We just had 2 Game Boys.
Oh yeah. Well, I say I bought 2 Game Boys, but in truth, I just borrowed my brother's. But
Yeah,
I bought
but-
2 copies of the game.
The only time I ever actively traded and kept what was given to me was when, well, no, I guess it's kind of both, isn't it? Because it's a trade back. Because I wanted Gengar and Alakazam in Gen 1, and my friend helped me trade my Haunter and Kadabra back
Well,
to
that
me.
that
to
was
get
always
it.
the design flaw in the trade evolutions. they were just busy work for people. And I guess that's why they stopped doing them. They did stop doing them, right?
Eventually.
Eventually.
Trade evolutions?
There's some in Gen 5. I don't think that there's any past that, if I remember correctly. And Gen 5 does a cool thing where cool in terms of it's neat conceptually, but a pain in the ass to actually do. You have to trade a Pokemon with someone else who's trading you a specific Pokemon at the same time, and then like swap outfits, which is like neat in theory, but like figuring out how you're actually supposed to do that is like really cryptic.
The fact that it's cryptic to figure out is part of the reason they did it. Not because not because it wastes time, but because there are some players who are just into that cryptic shit and find it to be part of the charm.
In defense of Gen 5, they do mention stuff about the other Pokemon in the Pokedex entry. So like you can like conceivably think about it and figure it out. Like, it's not as absurd as, like, spinning around in circles or flipping your 3DS upside down, which are real evolution methods, by the way.
I have a question. Why is the evolution animation terrifying?
You know what? I get it, because they're trying to emphasize the Pokemon are wild and scary thing, in this game. So they're leaning into that for the evolution animation, which, works.
I guess.